Before we begin, I'd like to welcome Professor Mara Teakin, is that correct? And her class, the Education Reform and Politics class. Welcome. You're quite a crew. You filled up the house tonight, didn't we? So, agenda item number one is the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're fortunate to have Jordan lead us, who is one of our district's Special Olympians. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Jordan. Agenda item number two is to recognize the LRTC Electrical Program Instructor of the Year, and Craig Cushman, and Rob Callahan will be presenting.
Good thing we didn't need an electrical instructor. I may have, he's off the clock, so it's, I want to thank you for inviting us here this evening. It's my extreme pleasure to present Greg Cushman, who is LRTC's electrical instructor and was recently recognized by his colleagues in the state of Maine as the CTE Instructor of the Year. It is an honor because I'm aware of the exceptional teachers that we have not only in this district but around the state. And to be recognized as someone who has excelled in so many ways is really a special honor. But if you know Greg at all, you know that that's very appropriate. He is, by all accounts, exceptional. His students achieve their proficiencies at a very, very high rate. Every year when we enter state competitions, his students take home their share of gold and bronze medals, silver medals. At the collegiate level, we know that his students not only work in their technical proficiencies, but they are earning college credits around the community college systems and entering the field at a very successful pace. In fact, we were just talking about one of his former students who was a medalist at State Skills USA and has now been hired by the city of Lewiston as their electrical inspector. Another sort of thing that sets Greg apart is really his commitment to his trade. He is someone who cares deeply about the electrical profession and has done a lot to introduce his students to it. Most recently, last year, he and his students introduced a piece of legislation before the legislature to recognize the many hours of work that they do with Greg to count towards their licensure. That bill went through committee and then the full House and Senate, where it was unanimously approved and signed into law by the governor. And again, it was Greg's quiet leadership and the dialogue, the meaningful dialogue that he precipitated in his classroom that brought that to be. So I guess, as you can see, Greg is someone who it means a great deal of me to be able to call a colleague. He is someone who benefits students every day, and I would like to recognize him as our honoree this evening.
Thank you. Good evening, and thanks for having me this evening. I won't take up too much of your time because I'm short-winded, not like Rob. But it's quite an honor to be recognized as State of Maine CTE Teacher of the Year for 2019. But I'll say this, that this belongs to the school department of Lewiston and Lewiston Regional Technical Center as much as it does to me. Without the support of the school department and the phenomenal support and encouragement of the leadership and administration of LRTC, this recognition wouldn't be possible. If you just give me like 3 minutes, I'm going to give you just a spiel here. When I was about 10 years old, see, you gave me the mic, my parents decided to finish a couple rooms in my childhood home. And down in the basement, they built a bedroom and a living room. And the carpenters came in, they studded up the walls. And then this giant of a man, 6 foot 6 inches, electrician came in. He started drilling holes and pulling wires and setting boxes and making electrical connections and installing switches and lights. And when he was done, it was amazing. I could turn on lights, I could plug things in, I could watch the TV, and I guess you could say he lit a spark in me. And from that moment on, I knew I wanted to be an electrician. Fast forward to my junior year of high school, and I walked into the electrical program, and in the classroom was that same giant of a man, Dave Moon. He was the electrical instructor. He taught me 2 years, taught me everything about electricity. What is it? How does it work? How do we install it safely? But also some non-tangibles. Taught me about honesty and ethics and pride in my work. And when I graduated there, upon his recommendation, I went to Presque Isle to Northern Maine. It was Vocational Technical Institute. Now it's Northern Maine Community College. And I was blessed and fortunate to have another fine mentor there, Brian McDougall, master electrician, licensed professional electrical engineer, chairman of the board on the State of Maine Electricians Examining Board. And I gleaned all that I could from him. And he taught me more about electrical as far as commercial, industrial aspects. Then I graduated from there, and I quickly got my journeyman's license. And 2 years after that, I passed my master's exam and went into contracting. And I contracted, I don't know, for about 15 years and had employees. And I stayed in touch with David Moon, my high school teacher, and we became close friends. And we helped each other out on the summer. He worked during the summers and vacations. And when he got ready to retire from his teaching career, he called me and he said, "Greg, I think you should apply for the position." I'm like, "You're crazy. I'm an electrician. That's all I've ever done. It's all I know. It's who I am." But I did apply for the job and got hired, and that was the easy part. And then I had to learn how to be a teacher. Saturdays in a classroom, passing praxis tests, learning about curriculum and lesson plans and IEPs. And more importantly than that, I had to learn how to convey to my students my ideas and thoughts, because I wanted to instill in them all the knowledge that those two wonderful people in my life had given me. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity. No, how about the privilege for every day getting up and coming to work and teaching the young men and women of the greater Lewiston area my trade and my profession. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cushman. Agenda item number 3 is to receive a presentation by the Lewiston Public Schools Special Olympians. Educator Erica Crowley will present.
I just wanted to introduce our special education staff at Lewiston High School, our dynamic team of Mel, Erica, and Jess. They do a fantastic job in our functional life skills program here in Lewiston. And here they are here to talk to you about our Special Olympics that we do throughout K-12.
full screen thing.
Yeah, she's got. She's got my backdrop and, or her, well, unless what's your backdrop? Does it look like that?
It does. You have to slide it to the right. So I think we.
Right. Is it mirrored?
Yes. That's so fast. I wish you were in our classroom sometimes. That'd be nice.
Hi, everybody. As Pam said, I'm Erica Crowley. I'm also the Lewiston High School head of delegation for Special Olympics as well. And this is Jess Marr, the teacher I work with in our classroom. We're just going to give you a short presentation on Special Olympics. So here we decided that we needed to form a leadership team so we could become more organized at the school. So these are our leadership team members. We have Liam Myers, myself, who's head of delegation, and also I have my certification in motor activities and working toward my athletics coaching certificate. We have Jennifer LaRoche Albert. She is currently working toward her bowling coaching certificate. We have Melissa Burgess, who's right here in the audience with us. She is our swim coach, and she is certified in everything that we offer, and extra. So if we ever want to add more stuff, she's our lady. We have Jessica Marr here, and she is working on her certification in bocce, bowling, motor activities, and golf. And then we have Sarah Waite, who is head of our fundraising. And we also have Dan Gish, who's a general ed PE teacher, who's also certified in adaptive PE, so he runs our unified PE program. We came up with a mission statement, and it is providing competitive settings and social opportunities for high school athletes with disabilities while fostering lifelong connections with peers.
So basically, our mission is to support our athletes while they're in high school, but Special Olympics doesn't stop at high school. They can do it in their day programs when they graduate. They can do it with their families. So basically, these athletes can play in Special Olympics until they're unable to physically participate. So we have athletes that show up in Orono that are in their 60s and their 70s, so there's no limits.
So we wanted to show you some of the sports and events that are offered. So first, athletics is our biggest competition. We run a regional meet right at Lewiston High School, and it's a track meet. You know, they have the mile run, they have shot put, and they have jumping, and they have wheelchair activities also, races. So there's a regional meet at the high school, and there's also a 3-day event at Orono where we stay overnight. We also offer swimming to our athletes, and these have 2 different levels. So there's a level one competition that is an assisted, and they have shorter distances for the races. There's a level 2, and those are unassisted and a little bit longer, and there's relays involved with that also. And those are both held at the YWCA right here in Lewiston. Then we have a state meet that's held right at Bates College. We have motor activities, and here, these are one of the skills that we're working on for our motor activities. And as he's hitting the ball off the tee, he's kind of working on those precursors for other Special Olympic activities. And this happens at Yarmouth, and you bring the students' skills, and it showcases the students' skills and their abilities there at Yarmouth. And we also offer bowling, and we have a training day that happens at spare time, and also a regional meet that happens. And lastly, we have bocce, and bocce actually has a training day at Levitt where the kids learn skills, and we kind of get training hours as coaches. There's a regional meet, and then Orono Summer Games also hosts the state meet there as well.
We are also working with our athletic director, Jason Fuller, on developing a unified bocce team, similar to our unified basketball team.
So next we have some testimonials from our students at the high school. This is Andrew.
Special Olympics is fun. I like swimming in the wheelchair races. I like it when people cheer.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, and this is Michael. Hi, Michael. Why is Special Olympics important to you?
To show pride and spirit for LHS, to make the years last, and just to have fun.
Great. And what is your favorite part of Special Olympics?
The cheers and applause and the whole Orno experience was kind of scary, but with friends like Edwin, it's not that scary.
And was this the first time that you have slept at a different place that wasn't your house?
That was the first time I spent away from the house, but with friends, it's not that scary anymore.
That's awesome. Thank you. And we have Jordan here with us tonight too, who'd like to say a few words.
Many questions would probably say, why is Special Olympics important to me? And what I would say from that is, it's important because it gives me a purpose. It makes people play sports and cheer people on, no matter what happens. Other questions would probably say, what have I learned from participating in Special Olympics? Well, when someone wins or loses, it doesn't matter if you lose. You're still a winner at the end of the day, even if you don't think so. And another question would probably mean like, explain the Devils Unite Club and why you feel it's important. We want to become a unified champion school through Special Olympics. It's important because it helps me with my leadership skills. It invites anyone to join, and it would help not only the school, but the community. We used to run a campaign last year that involved around spread the word to end the word.
So Devils United is a club that we have formed with special ed students and regular ed students, and it comes together to promote inclusion in our school. The Spread the Word, End the Word campaign is a campaign to stop the use of the word retard in our schools and in our community, and we put out a pledge that students come in and they sign to end that. As we build, we're having our first meeting next week, and we're kind of building on how we want to make more inclusion happen in our school. And that's it. That's our presentation. We welcome any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Ms. Ray?
First of all, thank you so much, and thank you, Jordan, for joining us as well. I know you probably have homework to do tonight, so it's nice that you came and joined us. We appreciate that. So I was in the high school, a couple weeks ago now, and I went by the store next door, and then by another location, and then the functional life skills area. Is that correct?
Yep.
And as we look at November and the high school improvement expansion, would your work move from that area into the new wing, do you know? Or
Jake, do you want to elaborate a little bit on that? It'll move us out of there.
We're looking at getting you out of that space.
Yes, it will move us out of the space. We do have a classroom that is upstairs in the Bay Wing where me and Jess work most of the time, but it's going to move the majority of our students out of the basement, yes.
just a plug for everyone, that would be wonderful, I think.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. Any other questions or comments from the committee? All right, thank you very much. Okay, agenda item number 4 is the consent agenda. Are there any items that members want to be removed from the consent agenda? Mr. Jensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The field trip request to Peaks Island, I just have a question about it.
Your question?
I just wanted to make sure that the only water activity was the commute by ferry boat. I wasn't sure if anything else was involved. Just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely. What we've done is in all of our field trips, whether they may or may not involve water, we apply the new policy regarding field trips and review that just in case. And so yes, absolutely, it's just the ferry that would involve that.
Mr. Jensen?
In that case, I can withdraw my request.
Very good. Any other concerns on the consent agenda? Then that will be adopted. Moving on to agenda item number 5, and I'm under strict orders by the vice chair this evening, who made it clear there was a Patriots game going on tonight, so I might move you along a little bit. I was going to say that at the beginning of the meeting, but I forgot, so. Agenda item number 5, to receive and approve nomination of Lewiston Public Schools Continuous School Improvement Coordinator. And Mr. Finn will be presenting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the past 3.5 months, our human resources, curriculum, and leadership teams have collaborated in the creation of the concept of the Continuous School Improvement Plan Coordinator for Lewiston Public Schools. This team member would work directly with the teaching and learning as well as the leadership and innovation teams to implement the research-backed approach to continuous school improvement by renowned expert Dr. Victoria Bernhardt, under whom I studied as a turnaround principal in Atlanta. Last week, an interview panel made up of teachers, principals, parents, community members, a student, and central office personnel, as well as member Alicia Ray, came to consensus in moving Caitlin Barcelos to the second round of interviews. Joined by the association president in the second round, Ms. Barcelos was unanimously recommended to be presented to the school committee this evening. Caitlin Barcelos has an in-depth working knowledge of data analysis, action research, technology integration and design, team facilitation, and most importantly, the inner workings of the public education system. As the education correspondent for 3 major publications in Vermont, Ms. Barcelos presents an impressive body of work with students, teachers, principals, parents, superintendents, and school boards. Her experience as a member of the print media adds even more value, as communication to communities is a major strength for this professional. LPS principals share their excitement and enthusiasm for the prospect of working with someone with Caitlin's experience and especially her ability to engage and facilitate small and large group conversations. Last year, as a principal in Vermont, I had the opportunity to share our school's data with Caitlin and invited her in to collect perception data on her own. And that can be very risky for a principal. She immediately analyzed, organized, and communicated our outcomes to the public. We brought Caitlin in to work with our stakeholders around improving culture and climate in our middle and high schools. And we were extremely impressed with her ability to connect with our stakeholders, bring data to life, and make recommendations to our administration for process and perception improvement. Caitlin also has extensive experience working with populations in trauma, conducting extensive studies around the Syrian refugee resettlement, domestic violence, the opioid addiction crisis, all resulting in recommendations to city leaders that have been the catalyst for positive change. These projects have proven her ability to collect data through the action research process, both quantitative and qualitative, and formulate plans to address crisis situations. The school committee has stood behind this administration's entry plan, providing support and guidance along the way. I ask for the school committee to, first of all, introduce Caitlin Barcelos here and for their approval of this candidate for the Continuous School Improvement Coordinator.
Caitlin, can you hear us all right? Us hearing you.
Hold on one second, Caitlin. We can't hear you.
I just pulled up the personnel policies on the lewistonpublicschools.org website, and they do not include this position still. So it was last updated in May of 2019 prior to Superintendent Finn's arrival. So who would we speak to about updating that policy to include this position?
It's not working. It's not ringing on my end. Go ahead, Caitlin. See if we got it now.
There you go, Caitlin.
Hello.
Caitlin, welcome.
Hi. Hi. How are you? It's great to be here.
So, Caitlin, we know you did the 4.5-hour trip up and back twice in the last week, and we appreciate that. We also know you have a very busy schedule where you are right now, and a dog that's very happy in the background. So, we appreciate you Skyping in with us this evening as we get to meet you as a school committee.
It's a pleasure to meet you all, and it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Caitlin, would you like to talk about your excitement for coming to Lewiston?
Well, to be honest, Lewiston already, it was 2 4 or so hour trips, but honestly, it was just so worth it because to be a member of the Lewiston community would be an absolute dream. It's an incredibly strong community with a school district that's absolutely blossoming with opportunity and possibility, such an interconnected school system with their community, and it's just a place that I can see myself only serving to benefit. And I'm honored as one of the candidates for the possible CSIP position. Having a CSIP coordinator is an enormous step for any school district, and I would love to be the person to serve that purpose for you, to be able to work towards even further strengthening Lewiston Public Schools. So.
Thank you very much, Caitlin.
Absolutely.
Okay, so committee member Ray brought up that, so that position's not in our policies yet. Is that your concern?
I know we voted on it, but we should just make sure that that paperwork is filed.
Yeah, so we can update. Are there any questions or comments from the committee? Mr. Shannon?
Nomination, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Shannon, seconded by Mr. Jensen. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Okay, if not, well, where it's a personnel matter, we'll go straight to the vote. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Welcome, Caitlin, and that's been approved unanimously.
Oh, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so looking forward to coming to Lewiston and becoming a part of your family. Thanks so much again. This is wonderful, and it's such an honor.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, technology always seems to grab you when you don't expect it. Agenda item number 6 is public input. Okay, we'll move into agenda item number 6, public input. Are there any members of the public that wish to comment? Okay. Okay. Okay, agenda item number 7 is a report from the student representative. Good evening. And
Okay, so after Spirit Week, there hasn't been a lot of awareness about like sporting events going on after schools, and with playoffs coming up for many teams, we need more student participation there to get a good fan section going. And then I've also received a few comments about the recent fire drill we had. I think did you guys make changes to the routes? I don't know. But C-Wing, so I know a few people have been going from C-Wing, and they have to go through the CAF and all the way past the gym, out the gym lobby doors, and that's one of the busiest parts in our school, and some of the comments were like how long and crowded the walk is getting out.
okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from the committee? Mr. Shannon?
Students could exit in a fire drill?
So I was thinking maybe like the main lobby exit, since there are more doors and the hallways are a lot like wider and bigger, or out in like the courtyard. There's an exit there also, so either one of those.
So the blessings of doing a drill. So we changed some of our exit routes because of the new facilities out back. What it led to was everyone dumping to the back pathway and having to go into the baseball field, which this time of year is a far enough walk. In the winter, it's not as big because of snow. So we looked at different exit plans, and Dave Bowie did some data work for us, broke it down that by every single period of the 8-period blocks, how many students would exit each area, and it's all broken down and divvied up as evenly as could be. The beauty of the drill is as students made their way to the gym, the doors close automatically by magnet, and they didn't open the door, they went out the side exit because it was the next closest exit, which is what I'd want them to do if they can't make their way out. But now they know the door opens. That was the congestion in the ceiling.
You're welcome. Any other committee members, questions or comments? If not, Mr. Finn, do you have a comment?
Absolutely. Thank you, Gemma. Gemma, I've got 2 things. First of all, we were excited today, Ms. Avery and I, to meet with our fire chief, and we're partnering up with our fire chief, who's been here for about 2 years, to really get a good look at all of our drills when it comes to fire safety. And we're looking forward to getting some feedback from our fire department as well. But feedback from you is that's why you're here, and it's very important to us. And the second thing, Gemma, are you excited about going on Thursday? Where are you going to on Thursday? Where are you going on Thursday? To the fall conference, that's right. So that'll be your first one? All right, have a blast up there and learn a lot of stuff. All right, Gemma.
That's actually, so that's the Maine School Board Association Fall Conference. Maine School Management, okay, thank you. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, I think I might have to go back to public comment. Jama, did I miss your hand raised? Yep, so if you have a public comment, I want to make sure that we don't miss that, so. Yeah, please go ahead.
I don't think so, I can make. All right. That's short. Oh my God. So my name is Jama Mohammed. I live in Lewiston, Maine, here in Ward 5, probably 105 Beer Street. And I live here in Lewiston for the past probably 12 years, and I'm very much like enjoying here, except like snow. So, yeah. And I'm not quite sure if that agenda is in here, but in our community, when we just say like community in general, we have here a lot of like sometimes, and when I just say like community, we're all like in community, but the way we are receiving the information and all that stuff, and I think it's totally different, and especially for the immigrant community here in Lewiston, for the last couple weeks, we have getting a lot of report and about kids are getting, I mean, like children getting in a lot of fight in the school and also elsewhere. And also we have here kids also getting in trouble from some stores around here. And very much that is, I'm not quite sure basically where that started, but most of the kids, when we really like interview or ask the question, they just say like, this is basically, and it's like racism, discrimination, all that stuff. But some of them, they are complaining from the school side. That's where the kids are really gathering and starting from that. So I was wondering that, and how you can really like awareness for this in the community, like the larger community, because we have like the big number of the kids the school, and we are sometimes very concerned when we just hear like some kind of racism or so. I was just curious, and in that case, like school administrative and also like the school board and of course and all the like larger community, how they are kind of like aware in this case. But I would love to hear more about what's going on first. I know some of the cases maybe can be confidential, but we are very concerned as we are new immigrant for these cases, like we have really been hearing. So I have like 7 children going to the Lewiston Public School. I'm very much like concerned when I just hear like kind of like racism or fight like connected with that situation. So that's very much what I was just trying to see if kind of that case is going on here or maybe what what's going on in general. That's what I want to just find out anyway. I don't have any other comment, but that's very much. And thank you so much.
So I'd agree with you that there appears to be some issues going on in the community with groups of kids, but I'm not sure that the school's directly related to that. So I would encourage maybe to have conversations with either the police chief or the mayor to get more insight in that, and then maybe some type of cooperation from the parents and the officials may help to move that in a better direction. I'll let Mr. Finn comment about your comments within the school, of course.
First of all, I want to thank you for coming tonight and for bringing that to our attention. Sir, we will be hosting Lewiston Listens, our third part to that series at Connors Elementary School in November. During this time, I ask 5 questions to the community and we listen. And one of those questions is, what are some things that we need to be aware of when it comes to Lewiston Public Schools? I'm looking forward to the answers I'll get on this upcoming Thursday night at Geiger, and then we're coming to Connors. A lot of the Connors parents said, can you come to us in November? And they'd like to participate. And it's the way that I will collect perception data. And these are things that I need to hear as we build out our strategic plan for the upcoming year. And part of that strategic plan is nurturing connections with the community. And the answers reside within all of our communities, and your community included. I would love to sit down and talk to you if you'd come by the office. I think I have a lot that I can learn from you, but also so that we can maybe set a date for November. And I'd love to be able to speak to you and the community in November at the Lewiston Listen series at Connors.
Thank you very much. Okay, agenda item number 8 is to receive a presentation. What was the wording you gave me? All right, very good.
Good evening. So this is the highlight of my Monday. In the house tonight, we have our 3 absolutely fabulous SROs, as well as Roger Landry, who oversees all of our SROs. I didn't quite recognize any of you because you're not in your uniform. So you look very, very different to me, and I like it. It's good. So as I said, we have 3 of the most amazing people in each one of our schools. We have Ken Strout, Officer Strout,
who is our SRO in all of our elementary schools. We have Officer Verling, who's at our high school, and then we have Officer Cramp, who's at our middle school. Tonight, I have two very short movies that I want to play for you. One is in regards to our Lewiston Middle School, and then the other one is for Matt, Officer Verling and Officer Strout. So I'm going to start there. Do you mind dimming the lights, Dave? Okay. Oh, okay.
So if nobody's scared of the dark, we should be okay.
Haven't I told you two not to play with my stuff?
Sorry, Officer Cramp. We appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, Kevin. Officer Cramp, thank you for all you do with LMS students and staff. We love you. We love you. Thank you, Officer Cramp.
Team Olympic really admires Officer Cramp. I got to know him when we were working on a field trip for Reach Across America, and Barbara did as well. And it really, he really impressed me and us with his deep connection to the community and his desire to bring the community together, especially our newer immigrant families, and get them to see what a wonderful place the America is that he served. So we all want to say,
Thank you, Officer Cramp. Thank you for keeping our school safe. We love you.
Hi, this is Team Yosemite. Kevin, I've known you a long time, and you have been a godsend. Honest to God, you've kept us safe. You've kept the kids safe. You've always been there with a big smile, and we really, really appreciate you. I don't know what we'd do without you.
Thank you, Kevin, for being here.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. You're awesome. Love you. Thanks for all you do, Officer Cramp.
That's pretty awesome.
So, the roles of a school resource officer. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So the goals of a well-founded SRO program include providing safe learning environments in our nation's schools, providing valuable resources to school staff members, fostering positive relationships with youth, developing strategies to resolve problems affecting youth, and protecting all students so that they are and can reach their fullest potential. That's from the National Association of School Resource Officers. I can attest that these 3 officers do exactly that in Lewiston Public Schools. I am so proud of each one of you. I am so grateful that I know you, and I know that we have an awful lot of school safety and security stuff coming up that they are in the Lewiston Police Department as well, are incredible collaborators with us, and they only make us better. So thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, officers. Appreciate you taking some time to come to this meeting tonight to be recognized. And you guys really do a great job. Our committee hears regularly how integrated you guys are with our students and our staff, so thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move to agenda item number 9, and that's to receive and approve a budget timeline. Bobby Avery will be presenting.
Can you believe it's that time of the year? It's amazing. It's awesome. We're gonna have fun. So in front of you is our budget timeline. It's basically mirrored after last year's timeline. There are a few dates on here that are to be determined. We're waiting for the city to develop their process, and then we'll fill those dates in as we get them. If there are any questions, hopefully I can answer them.
Nope, the schedule looked pretty good to me for next year. I won't be sitting here, but I thought the timeline was well. Ms. Ray?
Maybe I missed it this year, but after the budget process, did we do our debrief?
We have not done a debrief, so that was our first year, last year, and if you're interested in doing a debrief, we can certainly do that.
I would love to signal my interest in that, just because there was, again, feedback from the city side, but also my brain, if you'd like to hear what's in it.
Really? Yeah, she did use the term respectfully, so yeah, I think we're good. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Mr. Jensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move we approve.
Okay, move and approve the budget timeline for the FY 2021, right? Yeah. Did you have any comments, Superintendent Finn?
Absolutely. First of all, she'll never take credit for it, but Bobby Avery has been an absolute rock for me when it comes to this process. This will be the first process the first budget that I will present in my entire career, and I'm constantly knocking on Bobby's door to help walk me through her process. This year, I'm very, very excited to work with Bobby on this. Bobby's got some phenomenal ideas about how we would like to build a needs-based budget this year. So when Bobby says it's exciting, it actually really is very exciting. So Alicia, I will join you as a budget geek on that one. And Bobby, I just want to say thank you because I know you worked all weekend long on this, and it's greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Bobby. Moving on to, oh, that's right, thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item number 10 is a report from the City Council representative, Ms. Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A lot going on. So the City Council met last week in workshop. We discussed the passenger rail study, more to come on that. But in the meeting, we passed our marijuana ordinance. I'd encourage you all to check that out as it pertains to schools. We went with the state's definition of setbacks for marijuana establishments and the school boundaries. I believe it's 750 feet or 1,500. there's a lot of setbacks in there, but I would look specifically at the school one as it pertains. Just some other relevant pieces of information. The City Council gave the go-ahead to jumpstart the transformation plan that we've all heard about for healthy neighborhoods by transferring properties to LA Housing Authority so they can begin some work on those. So that was a donation from the city. We also appointed the members of the Housing Committee, which, as we know, the downtown area and much of Lewiston housing is lead affected. So hopefully this ongoing Housing Committee can help us address safe and affordable housing within the city. We do have a special meeting tomorrow with 2 school items on it. The first is to approve the month-to-month lease of Martell School with the Share Center, which is a school supplies distribution thing. Great, nailed it. And that will go until such a time as we decide what to do with Martell. We're also discussing the Martell School bid tomorrow. I did represent to the council last week folks from the school committee's desire to keep the playground, which is still closed because the equipment is damaged and it would be too costly to amend outside of the budget cycle, but it's being built into next year's budget. And then also the fact that there might be, we've heard some talk about senior community centers, those sorts of things in that space, so I represented that as well. So that will be part of the bid process. If you'd like to come talk about it tomorrow night, I think we'd be open to that. And then something very important, the election season is upon us. Absentee voting is now available. The deadline to order an absentee ballot in Lewiston is October 31st at 4 p.m. Early voting will be open at City Hall starting this Thursday morning at 9 a.m. through October 31st, excluding the weekend. And late night voting will be next Wednesday, October 30th until 7 p.m. in council chambers. And then, of course, Election Day itself is coming up. So we'll be voting on the municipal slate of candidates, the LHS expansion, and then there's a state bond and a state referendum question included in that election.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. Any questions or comments? Thank you. Agenda item number 11 is the committee chair report. So the only thing I have to report is, like many of you probably, I attended the Farwell School Pumpkin Festival this weekend. Although I did miss one dunk tank participant, but I'm sure that was exciting. So I wasn't aware of it before. Many of you probably are because you currently have kids in the school. But so that's sponsored by the PTA, and they raise typically around $10,000 a year that they give right back to the school in different ways. So I was really impressed with that and the amount of work that it takes to do that. So I appreciate Farwell's PTA and, of course, all of our staff at Farwell for the work they put into that. All right. And I have nothing further. Agenda item number 12 is the report from the superintendent.
And so to just reiterate what Mark said, the Pumpkin Fest at Farwell went very well on Sunday. It was my second dunk tank in about 4 weeks. I'd like the community to know that I've got so much more to offer than that. There's other things I could be doing too. But that went very, very well. We will be presenting to the school committee our nursing data from September and October as requested by Mr. Jensen. And we will have one of our nurses present on the 4th of November at our next board meeting. So the data is looking very interesting. So would love to be able to have some discussion around that. We had our second assessment conversation update after the last school committee meeting. Really proud to report that we're making a lot of progress and in drawing a lot of parent interest in other things we could be doing other than giving standardized assessments. I was asked to give a presentation on the personalized learning model that we launched in our high school in Atlanta. The parents are very well aware of that, and a lot want to learn more about that because that also included an authentic assessment piece that really showed what the students' work was and what they were doing rather than just test scores. So we'll be presenting that to the parents on the 16th of November at 4 o'clock downstairs in the think tank. So I will be ready for that. We have the Genius Hour that filled up in 3.5 minutes. 3.5, that beat the 7-minute one from September. This will be on this Thursday, Genius Hour. The driving question is, how can we improve communication in Lewiston Public Schools? In 3.5 minutes, people signed up for it, and it was sold out like a Pearl Jam concert. So that was great. We also have Lewiston Listens. The series continues at Geiger. And we know one thing about Geiger. They're probably watching right now. And Geiger folks show up. So we will be looking for some process and perception data collection that evening. And as mentioned earlier, we'll be moving on to Connors for November. So we have a busy rest of the month. However, our first quarter of school will be coming up here at the end of next week. So believe it or not, that's already in the books. So looking forward to finishing up October and presenting out the nursing data in November to you.
Ms. Parks?
What was the date of the?
The 16th of
Saturday?
November. I'm sorry?
It's on a Saturday? November 16th is a Saturday. That's why I'm asking.
That is the date that they gave me. A Saturday makes it a little preclusive. I will let you know on the 4th.
Thank you.
Renee's in these meetings, and she does a phenomenal job, too. The 6th. Did I say 10th? The 6th. The 6th. Who put that 1 there? Thank you for freeing up my Saturday that day. I appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Okay, moving on to agenda item number 13. Any community announcements from committee members? Ms. Roy?
So 2 things. One was mentioned earlier, the fall conference is this week, so pretty excited to have both of our student representatives coming with us. Thank you. It's just a really, I think it'll be a very good learning experience for the students, and Basil went last time and he was excited to come again, so that's awesome. And then Miss Ray and I were at a Beyond Borders conference last Friday, which was at USM, and Portland Public Schools, I think, were the sponsor of that, and we had a lot of different sessions to do with our immigrant population and a lot of other things and how it interfaces with schools. And there were a lot of people from Lewiston, not just the school department, but from the city, from just all different organizations. So I found that it was very informative and got to talk to a lot of different kinds of people. Alicia?
Yeah, specifically, I went to 2 really moving presentations. One was on decolonizing curriculum, and the second one was on epigenetics and how trauma is passed down generation to generation through predisposed genes rather than experience every time. And so as we think about the population that exists in Lewiston, both through generational poverty and through migrant and immigrant and refugee folks who are here, there are so many ways in which trauma is coming into our schools and ways that we can help address that through trauma-informed processes. I also was speaking, I don't know if Pam's still here, I hope she went home, but we were chatting about how we want to bring one of the mindfulness little movies into this space, just to frame us maybe before a meeting one time, and hopefully share that resource with teachers and educators as well.
Thank you. Mr. Gagnon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a brief update on the Lewiston High School Expansion Committee. We are out in force, basically trying to educate and inform the public what's going on. We recently, last week, were at the Lewiston Public Library for a community forum, so forth. Our superintendent was there on the panel as well, and that went very well. And what was a nice surprise is there was several students that we had spoken to about at one of our committee meetings that had created an original song and composed and everything. Had a 4-piece band, and we thought they were just going to videotape the song, and they actually showed up. So you can certainly feel and hear how the students are actually involved. And these are students in high school that will not get the experience of the actual wing. They just truly understand that this is a need that the community deserves. There was several art walks in the past that we've been to inform people as well, and there's one coming up this Friday, I believe. And so there'll be folks with a table there for passing out information There are videos constantly going out on our page on Facebook and other social media as well. Tomorrow morning, I will be on the local radio station to speak about it as well with one of our committee members as well. So we are certainly getting the word out, and public seems to be paying attention and very happy and respectful to get that information. So that's been interesting. And finally, a different note, I want to thank the officers for coming this evening. They do a phenomenal job in our community. Those videos looks like they always have fun, but they actually have a lot of paperwork, and the other nice thing is that they are also in the community on the actual force. So I have seen them out and about in our community, even during the summer when they're not in the school system, but they're always involved. And I wanted to thank Officer Cramp for a situation that my son was involved with in February. I actually still have his business card in my phone case, I guess. And I mean, they are truly out in the district as well. My actual other son in the high school mentioned, I can't remember his name, but the other officer that's at the high school, Veerling? Yeah, that's correct. Thank you. So thank you for mentioning that. And you know, they're out and about. They're familiar with the kids and the entire school system. So kudos to them for doing everything above and beyond where they probably can actually admit to. So they love their jobs. That's truly there, and I don't think they do anything else. So wanted to thank them for everything they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gagnon. Any other community announcements? Okay, agenda item number 14, future agenda item request, Ms. Ray.
Given that the City Council is embarking on its annual evaluation of the city administrator, I thought I'd raise that December is usually the time for the superintendent's evaluation as well. I do remember last year there was dissatisfaction with the evaluation tool. I don't think anyone's worked on it in the preceding year. So we did just redo the city administrator's evaluation. I'm happy to share that with the chair and the vice chair on what that collection tool looks like, and maybe it can be spun for the superintendent. But I will also just say we normally evaluate on the goals set, and I do not believe we've set new goals with the new superintendent, and so we might be evaluating him on Superintendent Webster's goals that were set. So I don't know how we want to approach that this year, but definitely something that we need to undertake by December, in my opinion.
So actually, could you share that with the entire committee and the superintendent? And then in the short term, the vice chair and I and the superintendent will probably just have a sit down to have a general discussion, and then we'll bring that to the committee soon after or at the beginning of the year. I'm not sure. Well, we probably can get to it before that. So, all right. Thank you, Ms. Ray. Any other future agenda item requests from committee members? Okay. So, Ms. Roy? Yeah. Moved by Ms. Roy, seconded by Mr. Gagnon to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you, folks.